कश्मीर इन द लाइन ऑफ फायर, जो मैंने लिखी है डेडिकेट उन लोगों को जो ऑर्डिनरी पीपल, चाहे वो सोल्जर्स हैं या सिविलियंस हैं या कश्मीर में रहने वाले लोग हैं, उनको भी इंक्लूडेड है। उन्होंने किस तरीके से एक एक्स्ट्रॉर्डनरी सिचुएशन क्रिएट करते हुए बहुत अच्छी अच्छी टेल्स बनाई, अपना स्टोरीज़ बनाई, एक्ट किए। और ये बुक मेरे 5 टेन्योर जो कश्मीर में है, जो 88 से शुरू होकर 21 तक, उसका एक निचोड़ है। तो इन स्टोरीज़ में बेसिकली किस तरीके से करेज लेके जो सोल्जर्स ने और कश्मीर के लोकल्स ने एक कश्मीर की हालात को बदली करने में मदद किया है, उनका निचोड़ है इसमें। आई एम मेजर जनरल रंजन महाजन एंड आई एम फ्रॉम राजरीफ। 4 राजपूताना राइफल मेरी यूनिट है और कश्मीर में मैंने राष्ट्रीय राइफल बटालियन कमांड किया और LC के ऊपर ब्रिगेड कमांड किया।
We can't wait any longer, so we will start. Normally our programs start on time, but we unfortunately got a little delayed. Well, I commence this evening discussion by welcoming our speaker. Please come to the dais and take a seat. Major General Ranjan Mahajan. Welcome also to each one of you to be present here, to join us on this Sunday afternoon in yet another book discussion. So we will have the book release later when chief guest also arrives. I can start by introducing the speaker. Jack, where are you? Please come. Take a seat.
Thanks.
We will do the book release once he comes. So, recipient of the prestigious Sena Medal and Vishisht Seva Medal, Major General Ranjan Mahajan is a scholar soldier who proudly and most successfully served the nation by devoting 35 years of his life in the Indian Army. General Ranjan was commissioned in the 4th Battalion of the famous Rajputana Rifles in 1987. During his career in the army, he has served across the length and breadth of the country, from the plains of the Thar Desert and the run of Kutch to the high altitude of the mighty Himalayan ranges. Ladies and gentlemen, General Ranjan enjoyed 8 postings in Jammu and Kashmir, out of which 4 times he was specially assigned to anti-terror operations. He commanded a company and later commanded a battalion of the Rashtriya Rifles for an intense counter-insurgency operation in Kashmir between 2005 and 2007. He was privileged to command an infantry brigade on the volatile line of control in North Kashmir in 2013 to 15 and a division on the western side of J&K as recent as 2021. All of you know these were the peak periods of militancy in J&K. During these operations, over 500 militants were neutralized, and this also resulted in the recovery of a large number of weapons. General Ranjan has served as Additional Director General of NCC in Jammu and Kashmir, Additional DG of Recruitments, during which he coordinated the mammoth task of recruiting Agniveers from Haryana, Himachal and Chandigarh. He has attended all the important courses for a successful career in the Army. He attended a course of the Defence Services Staff College, Wellington, the Higher Defence Management course at Secunderabad, National Security and Strategic Studies at the National Defence College, New Delhi. He holds a Master's in MPhil in Strategic Studies, and his articles appear in the Army War College and Infantry School journals. In the Economic Times, the Daily Excelsior in J&K, and of course the Center for Land and Warfare Studies known as CLAWS. Today he will be in conversation with Jagdeep Singh, Jags, on his book Kashmir in the Line of Fire. This book, I understand, is a very engrossing fusion of a soldier memoir and a human story. As his book review says, it is a book written from the heart, about the Kashmir Valley, where all of you know the most outstanding natural beauty shares the same sky with the acts of extreme violence. I am sure each one of us will find it an interesting account to read. Now, Jagdeep Jags, he will be in conversation with the author. He needs little introduction. Suffice is to say that he runs his own PR firm in Jaipur for the past many years. He is a postgraduate in English and history. He has had a stint as a journalist before joining St. Xavier's School to teach English. His poems have been published in several poetry journals and magazines. And teaching English, I believe there are 3 serving lieutenant generals who have been taught by Jags. At the moment, there are 3 of them in the Indian. His first collection, Mein Epitaph, was published in 2020 and was very well received. He is currently working on a novella and the reminiscences of his days as a student at the famous Mayo College in Ajmer. Jagdeep Jags and I have been regularly hosting book launches and discussions on a monthly basis for many years now. For the sake of those of you who may not be aware, we have had book releases on many subjects here. To name a few who are closely connected to the subject being discussed today, namely counterterrorism in Kashmir, we have had on this very forum Mr. Tilak Devashar, Secretary RANW, Mr. A.S. Dulat, Director General RANW, Major Chandrakant Veer Chakra, a prolific writer, and late Major Maruf Razak, a TV personality on defense analysis. So before we proceed with this evening, I take this opportunity to once again bring on record our thanks to His Highness Jaipur, the Chief Patron and Life President of the Ashok Club, and to Rajmata Sahiba for kindly permitting us to regularly host these book discussions in the club's main dining hall. On to you, Jags, kindly proceed with the conversation.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. हमारा मीडिया का बहुत ज़बरदस्त सपोर्ट है हर बुक इवेंट पे और एक उनका मैसेज भेजना होता है और ये सब आ जाता है. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all, and again I express my gratitude that on a Sunday afternoon, when you would rather be relaxing or watching a movie, you all come for book events at Ashok Club. Thank you very much. And today it is even wonderful that we have as an author Lieutenant Colonel Ranjan Mahajan Sahab, who's come all the way from Chandigarh for this book event. Please give him a big hand. And he has served in Jaipur also. He is aware of what Pink City is all about. So we are very happy to have him here today. And you know, when I started reading this book, I was a little skeptical that यार ये फौजी ने क्या लिखा होगा इस किताब में. But when I started reading it, it was unputdownable. So when I started reading it, it was unputdownable absolutely. And I finished it in 1.5 days. And so I must say that, sir, you've written a very gripping novel which you can't put down, and it's not just about army life or operations. It is also about it also has a human touch. How the people of Kashmir are responding, how they are behaving. It also talks about how his army brethren, served and they sort of engaged in operations. It also talks about, many instances. One of the most interesting instances, how a soldier of his battalion, by mistake, moves into Pakistan, and he gets indoctrinated and comes back as a spy. It also talks about his next door neighbor in Ganganagar, famous Ravinder Kaushik, who was a raw agent. Partly the Durandar movie is also based, partly I wouldn't say fully, but that's the kind of book that I have read and we are going to discuss today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a very engaging session. Let me also tell you that General Mahajan is from Rajputana Rifles. When I heard that he was His book and author, this author and book was recommended by the current DG Police, Rajeev Sharma ji. He'll be joining us shortly. And you know, when I got to know that he's from Rajputana Rifles, which we call Rajeev, my late father served in 6 Rajputana Rifles. My late elder brother served in 2 Rajeev. They always call themselves 2 Rajeev because they say they are second to none, you know. That's an old saying of Rajeev that goes. And so it was all the more wonderful, sir, that we have a regimental spirit with us. Having told you something about the book, which is so gripping, sir, I'm going to start from the other way around. Normally in a book session, it is at the fag end that we ask, what was your process of writing? How did you get to write this book? But I'm going to change it now. I'm going to ask you, sir, the first question, what exactly motivated you to write this book? Because this book is so well researched. It has elementary details in the book. He mentions all his colleagues, all his subordinates, all his seniors, all his teams. So he retired in 22. He does say that his son motivated him to write, but how exactly he went about it? Sir, please tell us. We are very eager to hear.
So thank you very much for inviting me and also arranging this beautiful book discussion session. And thank you, sir, for introducing me into the Mr. Singha, thank you very much for speaking very high words for me. And I am also extremely grateful to you all for having spared your time, come all the way, and being part of this books discussion. Otherwise, a very close part of my own life. Coming on to the question which Jagdeep sir had asked as to how I got motivated to write this book. So going back into the memory, Thapar Institute Patiala invited me for a talk, and the topic was ordinary people, extraordinary times, unordinary tales. I had the honor to share the dais with 2 more people, that is Mr. Sharad Vivek Sagar, he is the Dexterity CEO, and also an IPS or voluntarily retired Vivek Atre. When I started preparing for this talk as to what should I speak, then I realized, being my strong and strength in the army, my career, so then I realized how apt this topic is for the army, how ordinary people having faced the extraordinary times created the unordinary tales. And then I got reminded of each and every soldier of mine with whom I brushed my shoulders, served in very, very trying conditions, operations. And also, somewhere down my heart was the feeling for those people who had served with me on my orders, moved out, laid down their life, got injured, the operations got converted into something not very happy. So I said, let me work on that. To top it up, as luck would have it, when I was retiring, my son came all the way from Vietnam. He said that since he had been to Kashmir when I was serving there, and also all the different tenures, so he had seen things from close. He also motivated me enough to take on this task.
Thank you. I'm just going to read out 2 passages which I've reproduced them on a paper to see his kind of writing. First one is, this is how the book begins. I first arrived in Kashmir in December 1988, and as the cold mountain air hit my face, I couldn't help but be struck by the place's beauty. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting long shadows over the snow-capped peaks of the Pir Panjal and Shamshabari ranges. The valley stretched out below us like something out of a dream, a patchwork of fields, rivers, and villages nestled between towering mountains. Ladies and gentlemen, does this sound like a battle-hardened veteran writing? It's something like Wordsworth refining nature. Give him a big hand. Look at his description of Padam. Having arrived in this part of heaven on this earth, everyone was mesmerized by the enchanting natural beauty of Padam with its pristine alpine meadows, gushing rivers, pine-covered slopes, and snow-capped peaks. Wonderful writing, sir. Now my question to you is, did you take help of a literary agent or a publisher in your writing? So how much of a help is the publisher, or is it your own writing, or did you take some professional help?
Thank you very much, sir. You have really jigged with this question. Honestly, I come from Ganganagar and I've studied in Khalsa College, and I've been far away from reading and writing. But when it came to this task, and I wrote my first, second, third draft, so then I realized that this has to be slightly improved. So there are good friends of mine who help me brush this into a better canvas, and also the publisher and the editing part, and it was a big help from the publisher as well.
Thank you, sir. And I think literary agents and publishers do play a big deal in editing and modifying books. I would like to welcome General Padam, sir. Welcome here. So the author has done, ladies and gentlemen, 5 tenures in Jammu and Kashmir. Overall, 15 years. Rarely does an army officer in his career manage to be in J&K in 5 tenures. And his first tenure was as a second lieutenant when he had just joined the army from 1988 December to 1991. Then second tenure as a company commander of Rashtriya Rifles, 9 Rashtriya Rifles. Then later he commanded the same well-known 9 RR as it is known. And finally as a brigade commander on the LOC. So 4 operational tenures engaging with the militants, with the terrorists, trying to manage peace in Kashmir. So 1988 and 91 were also very volatile times. This is the time when actually militancy began in Kashmir. And ladies and gentlemen, painfully I have to say that this is also the time when the Hindu Kashmiri Pandits had to leave the valley, the exodus. This is also a time when it was a challenge to begin the Amarnath Yatra, etc. And then he was a part of 4 Rajputana Rifles. Sir, can you throw light on these 3 years that you stayed there? What were the most challenging times?
These period from 1988 and till 91 November we were there. Now this saw the entire game in Kashmir changing. We were, traveling from Jammu all the way to Srinagar and Kupwara and beyond to the LC in a single vehicle, comfortably going, no problem. But suddenly, we did not realize what's happening, the undercurrent, what was going. There was some undercurrent happening because of whatever proxies from the Pakistan or wherever. The militancy was setting in, and we saw the change happening. To the extent, the Nambardar of the village where our battalion headquarters was there, he had an ambassador car, and sometimes it used to be used. we did not realize that on the way back he is using it to get the weapons. So situation was changing. Now coming back to how the militancy started, lucky enough to have the experience. I have Captain Raghu, Colonel Raghu sitting here. He had also joined us. He was from Padam. Our Padam saw, and of course, Padam is also tenure, Sabir and more. They have done very active tenures in Kashmir. Lucky enough for us to face the operations wherein everything first which happened, first bullet when was fired in Kashmir, it happened to be on Fort Rajeev. First weapon which was recovered from Kashmir from the terrorist was by Fort Rajeev. First hideout which was uncovered was by Fort Rajeev. In my book, I have mentioned these things, and I have mentioned without any doubt how the officers and the JCOs and the other ranks actually took part in overcoming the situation which really thrown in an army and our unit as well. So it was a great experience to see this peaceful Kashmir converting into a turmoil Kashmir till November 21 and November 91.
All right. So, would you like to throw some light on the exodus of Kashmiri Hindus from the area? And you've given a very human interest story of how you occupied when you reached their houses. They had been asked to abandon their houses within a short time. Some of their, the cooker was on the, stove. The rice was being cooked. They had to leave suddenly. And there is a very heart-touching story about how you managed to contact one of the occupants of the house who had left, and they requested you to send some of their valuables there. Could you please narrate this story?
Fortunately, we have two very prominent personalities from Kashmir sitting here. Before the session started, I was discussing with them. They have also seen it from very close. Exodus of Kashmiri Pandits is a very, I will not what it. It's a chapter which is dreaded chapter in Indian history, in Kashmir's history, and we saw them all. In 1991, we were ordered to move to Sopore, which is also called the mini Pakistan, and we were ordered to occupy the bases within the town, and it happened to be Hindu houses. We entered in the night, rather early morning, and believe you me, the experience was really touching. Even the Jawans had some tears in their eyes. What has happened? The kitchen was left as it is. The pot was boiling. उसमें जो सब्जी थी अभी भी गर्म थी, चावल भी गर्म थे. Then I picked up the telephone. It had the current. It had the STD. It had beautiful pictures of their children, their family pictures, which was crossed. So it was not a pleasant scene to be witnessing. As sir is mentioning, he's read through this and it was very touching. When I was doing adjutant of the battalion, and we were in that Hindu house. When I went into the other room, there were spread of stationery which had envelopes. On those envelopes, there were addresses of Kashmir as well as Sabji Mandi in New Delhi. So they were the fruit merchants. So both the common addresses were there, and there was a STD number, civil number. Since the STD current was working in the telephone, I just gave a call inquisitively. How do they know this? To know the family who was staying here. And as luck would have it, a lady picked up the phone on the other side. उन्होंने बोला आप कौन बोल रहे हैं? मैंने कहा मैं कैप्टन बोल रहा हूँ कश्मीर से, सोपोर से. So there was a lull, there was a sudden drop. So she started crying. आप हमारे घर से बोल रहे हैं? मैंने कहा मुझे नहीं पता. कहती वो हमारा घर है, वो उसमें ऐसे है, वो ये छोड़ाए थे हम. Then she tells me, after some, can I request you to do me a favor? I said, why not? Please tell me. She said, please go down, take down, and where we have the pesticides lines, जो सेब के पेड़ों पे डालते हैं, उन्हीं के बीच में आपको एक छोटा बक्सा मिलेगा. सर्च फॉर दैट, एंड उसमें कुछ है, वो मुझे चाहिए. I said, okay. So I went down with my messenger, with my other people. We went down and we found that wooden box. And in that, there was a sari of her marriage. There was a proper gold set with all the gold ornaments. So they were all lying there. They could not take it when they were moved on the gunpoint to leave within no time or get shot. So this was the scene. So I picked up those. We took as per फौजी तरतीब उसका बोर्ड किया, फटाफट बना के उसको चार्ज पे करके. Then I gave a call back. I said, ma'am, we got these. कहती वो भी है, बुंदे भी हैं. I counted everything. It was intact. So we packed up. We got them delivered. And then by then this telephone had gone down. उन्होंने काट दी थी connection. So she must have tried to call me back, but then we contacted them. The emotions to feel was. So this is one story which came to me directly. There are other stories of how they were made to leave at gunpoint. And today I'm afraid almost over 3 lakh plus Kashmiri Pandits have got displaced. They are all over in the world, in India, but not in Kashmir. So there's a sad story.
Yeah, of course it's a... Sir, talking about Sopore, you said it was called Mini Pakistan at that time. I believe the terrorists used to roam on the top of the buses with machine guns, and many times the bus conductors used to say, come and say, "Ar par," which meant, agar border ke us par jana hai to, they would shout, "Ar par." Par, that meant, if you want to go across the border, you can come in the bus. So such was the situation in Sopore. So, and on the top of the roofs, like army puts its, positions, machine gun positions. Top of the roofs, the militants had put machine guns. So how did you manage to control this mini Pakistan?
Sopore is one town from where the first time Indian Army transit bus carrying officers came under fire, in which 2 officers got injured and 3 Jawans got injured. That was the first. And Sopore was the place which is connecting North and Central Kashmir and South Kashmir, of course. It used to be avoided. People used to circumvent, go to Baramulla and then go to Kupwara. Otherwise, the shortest route was through Sopore. And Sopore was controlled by militants that time. You go, you will be fired upon from wherever. So that is how, when our full brigade moved in with 3 units, we came to control the situation, and the very first major encounter took place there. What you are mentioning is, it was openly they used to travel in group of 20s, carrying their UMG, universal machine gun, which is equivalent to our light machine gun, on the top of the bus and moving with impunity. So, I remember there was one operation where Captain Suri and Major Mahesh Mathur, Captain Goofy and Major Mahesh Mathur, they were going to link up with another company, and there were 6 terrorists came right in front of them. And major encounter took place, and out of which 4 we killed in action. Now I was doing adjutant. This operation had taken place between our data Brown company and mixed party. So I was called to take part and hand over the bodies to police. So we took the parties from here and the FIR, You will not believe the situation was, we had entered the police station to do the formal documentation and procedure. Soon we realized we've been surrounded by the entire town. The sopor was, everybody was up against. It was a great mission to come out of that.
So this was the place where you first encountered the people opposing what you were doing. So this 4th Battalion has a very fascinating story about one of the Jawans who goes on 2 months annual leave, and there is attending a wedding which is very near the Pakistan border, and there is wine flowing in the wedding and he gets intoxicated and by mistake crosses into Pakistan border, where he is caught by the Rangers and indoctrinated to become a spy and come back to the regiment. So he came back 1 month late to the regiment to rejoin. And what exactly happened? Please tell me.
This was a Jawan straight from Bardmer. His village was bang on the border, closest to the IB. So they had gone to attend a wedding. And after a wedding, they were drunk. So he went out to ease himself. And dhore par karta hua, dunes par karke, he crossed the IB. And then the Rangers came. This is the story which later we came to know. But how it happened was that he reported to the battalion 1 month late. And I have pieces.
Welcome, sir.
What we were talking about was there is a Jawan.
Talking about one of the Jawans who had gone into Pakistan and come back as a spy.
So it started with the story that he reported 1 month late, and he was tried as per the army procedures, we all are aware, and he was given 28 days RI, rigorous imprisonment, and he came back from quarter guard and started doing duty, and he started doing very well. He was a changed person. His behavior was the best. So he moved very quickly from a very small appointment to the runner of the company commander, to the runner of the adjutant, and finally he landed up into the brigade headquarters, the BM's runner. So he was maneuvering, but suddenly we get a signal from the army headquarters, confirm number so-and-so belongs to your unit. It was a mixed up number, the name was also mixed up, but somehow it was, and in the morning we had the IB people landing at the unit. So he was taken into custody, interrogated, and within 2 hours he was broken. What had happened was, when he went on leave, intoxicated after wedding, went across to IB, the Rangers took him. And these Rangers worked on him and took him further deep, and then the ISI started working on him, and they converted him into a spy. So he was working as a spy for them. But luckily, he was revealed very early. That is how the damage was very less. This was the story about that.
Very fascinating story, could easily become a Bollywood movie. Talking about Bollywood movie and Dhurandhar happening now, creating a big thing. So you also knew Ravinder Kaushik, the famous raw spy, who was in your vicinity in Ganganagar, you knew him. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you are aware that Ravinder Kaushik was one of the well-known raw spies. Only about a week back, Rajasthan Patrika also did a story on him. And partly the Dhurandhar movie is also based on him. He is spying for RAW for India, and he also joins Pakistan Army, gets married to a Muslim lady there, and then just to cut a long story short, just one day he is sending extremely useful information to India from there. And then, the Indian authorities tell him that he has to come back now because they're getting some signals that he might get into trouble. So they ask him to come back. And just one day before coming back, he is caught in Lahore, and thereafter he has to suffer torture in jail. And I think finally he was executed in Pakistan. So how was your meeting with Ravinder Kaushik, the well-known spy?
I was in Ganganagar, and that time I was studying in 7th or 8th. When I first met him, and he came to our home, it was my birthday, and he did mono acting. And we used to call him very lovingly Kola Bhai Sahab, Ravinder Kaushik. He was a very handsome, exactly like Vinod Khanna, and very famous guy amongst all the youth and the Bacha party. But then he was not on the scene. Then I prepared for NDA. He came back and he met me. He said, "How are you preparing?" So I said, "I'm going like this." Then I asked him, "What are you doing?" He said, "Yeah, I'm doing kuch kar rahe hain." So then we started talking. Then he shared with me, he just lifted up his shirt, and his back had all the cigarette butt marks.
He'd been tortured.
He'd been tortured. Then I asked him, "So how this happened?" He says, "Baad mein baat karenge, tum pehle fauj mein aa jao." So then later on, there was a wedding, and I happened to meet him, and then we traveled together in a train. In the train, we spoke from Ganganagar till Abhor, we were going together. So we spoke at length. So certain things which he shared, but those were eye-opener for me. And anyway, thereafter, I only came to know when I was a captain in Samba, his parents landed up with me. That is the time I got to know, they thought I have become an army officer and I can negotiate something for him. That's the first time I got to know what has happened. Basically, he was picked up. Somebody let him, he had already got commissioned into the Pakistan Army. And he had risen to the rank of major. He was a big personality, but there was some confusion and he got revealed. And that is how he got compromised. People picked him up and put him in the jail, I think. Stories are too many. Their parents lived with so many stories since I know them from close, but now they are no more.
Very fascinating story indeed, sir. So you, in 1996, you come back to JNK in what is known as Rashtriya Rifles. First you went as Rajputana Rifle, which is a regular battalion. Now you come as join Rashtriya Rifles. So is it true that now JNK operations are being conducted by Rashtriya Rifles? So what exactly, there are a lot of laypersons here who are not in the army. What is the difference between a regular battalion? Earlier 4 Rajputana Rifles were there, now you have 9 Rashtriya Rifles. What was the idea behind forming Rashtriya Rifles? Has it been effective? And how did this change come about?
Now we all know the insurgency started somewhere in '89. So regular battalions are generally going there for a tenure-based, 2 years, 3 years. So this was a brainchild of our ex-chief, General Joshi. He conceived this idea to create a counterinsurgency force, CI force, and the RR was raised. Initially, there was a lot of resistance from within the army, regular battalions, but then it started taking shape. And it started with a different concept by pulling in people from different units. In Rashtriya Rifle, what happens is, earlier, when I went as a second tenure turn officer to take over as a company commander, so in that time in 9RR, 2 guys from Dogras, 2 from Maratha, 2 from Rajeev, 2 from Jat, 2 from Mech, 2 from guards, all mixed. So it was a absolutely heterogeneous composition. It was a very challenging. I would also like to mention here, since it got contributed from the units, हम भी उस टाइम कंपनी कमांडर थे 4 राजगढ़ में, हमको ऑर्डर आया कि 8 बंदे आरआर में जाने हैं. तो what did we do? We sent, you ask the senior SEO कि साहब, then he'll say साहब these are the problem creators, इनको भेज दो. So those problem creators got accumulated there. So the RR became, in that company, all the problems got together. But the success of Rashtra Rifle was made by these guys. Had these trouble seeker or trouble creator not gone there, they wouldn't have controlled the situation, like Retd doesn't. So now today, the Rashtra Rifle is the mainstay force in Kashmir, in entire JNK. We have about 5 Victor force controlling the valley, Kilo force Kupwara. We have Delta force controlling the Toda sector, Uniform force in the Udhampur sector, and Romeo force, the Rajouri sector. So we have well established, and RR is the force which has brought this insurgency under control.
So this is in one of your interviews, you say it was like the movie Dirty Dozen. The CEO of the officers he didn't like, he sent them to RR. But later, they proved their worth when they're there. It's a great story. Do you feel that now RR is most effective?
Absolutely. RR, and I am very close to RR because I was company commander in RR and commanding officer in 9RR. Today, in the entire Indian Army, the unit with highest awards, with highest number of unit awards, unit citations are there, which are given by the Chief of Army Staff, by the Army Commanders, by the Governors. The RR units are having the maximum awards. Why? Because they are always into battle, always into action, always facing operations. So they are in combat throughout. However, and the efficiency is controlling the area is also because of their continuing stay there, permanent use.
Ladies and gentlemen, his books are available on a discounted rate at the back. You must pick up a copy. Fascinating to read. Sir, in this book you also used the innovation like a scanner to see a helicopter flying. What's this all about?
What had happened was, when I was finishing my book and it was going into the print, my niece published a book on the poems. I'll present you with a copy of her, since you also on the poems. My niece made a book. So she sent me a copy. उसमें उसने स्कैनर डाले हैं Spotify के. You read a chapter and you scan that, the Spotify gives relevant music for that. I said, can I do it in this? So just give me the mobile. So I also approached some people, the high-tech people, since I am a non-tech. So they said, let's try. So I could use few scanners to bring the important things. Like you scan this, and this will show you and this is very close to my heart. Anything is very close to my heart. Sorry. So you can see this, this is the helicopter evacuation. This was done in Kupwara sector, where we had a very intense operation in which we had killed 4 Pakistani militants who had come just after infiltration. And of course, General Sapir is sitting here. He took over the operation area from us. the same area, and later on utilized 2 more battalions by his formation. He was commanding 8th sector there. So in this, what had happened was one of our NCO, he had got bullet injury. यहाँ तक bulletproof jacket होती है, but unfortunately the fire came from top and it ended from here. We were trying to save him. The helicopter came. I was sitting on a ridge. This movie was made, this script was made by my education officer who was always with me whenever I go out for operation, Nirmal Jeet, very, very fantastic guy. He made this clip, which went viral thereafter, I don't know how. But what I'm trying to tell you is this: the helicopters, pilots, what they did that day was just beyond imagination. The helicopter landed in the river bed, Nale. I was sitting on the mid-ridge and the casualty which was being brought, if you see this clip, you will find any person who get injured and needs to be brought down from in the mountains, not less than 8 people are required to carry him on the shoulder, because you are climbing down or climbing. And 8 and 8, 16, 2 parties, but still the motion was very slow. My heartbeat was going faster. I said whether he'll survive or not. So I looked at the pilot. I just waved at him, field signal, can you go? Why don't you pick him up from there? He suddenly took off. And without any helipad, without any place to land, he just touched and the casualty was picked up from there. So I wanted to somehow make it a
great innovation to use in a book.
Yeah.
Give him a big hand, ladies and gentlemen.
And of course, there are few more.
Few more such scans which you can, if you have the copy of the book, you'll be able to see for yourself.
Yeah.
How kind of innovation is taking place in along with reading. We are running out of time. We want to get some questions asked also. So I will ask you one last question, sir, that for 15 years you were in J&K, you conducted so many operations. I just want to ask, was there ever an attack on you or your men that you were going in for an operation? Or would you like to talk about one of the great war heroes? He keeps telling us how these Jawans, ordinary Jawans, come originally from villages and after getting training, what they do is amazing. In their own right, they become war heroes. So would you like to, before we open to the house, would you like to tell us a personal experience that you faced or about a great Jawan who performed very well? And then we'll open to the house.
Firstly, this question can be taken in 2 parts. First is, people are sitting here who have much experience than me also. When you leave your base and move out, what the Fauj is doing here is they are seeking encounter. When you seek encounter, you are likely to be fired upon. Because you are now moving, the other person is stationary. He is waiting for you. So initiative is with him. So many a times, people get injured, people get killed. However, asking on the personal front, yes, there have been instances because RRT operations are, one would have been through almost 100 operations. The first bullet starts when the CO lands up there and thereafter the encounter progresses. There was an incident where, I was just picked up my mobile and was speaking. When the fire was on, suddenly I get my buddy, there are 2 buddies, he pushed me down. I said, what are you doing? This guy could observe him. He could see the barrel and he pushed me because otherwise we both would have gone. So it was few instances. And there was never a safe area. I would also like to mention, in one of the very intense operations, so command post bana lete hum with the commanding officer control. So the CRPF commanding officer with his doctor came. He tells the doctor, कि आजा इधर safe आ गया तो CO साहब के पास आ गया. But you will not believe, we were not under the direct fire, but I suddenly saw the doctor collapsing and sitting on the floor and his leg bleeding. The bullet had ricocheted and come and hit him there where we were hiding ourselves. So there is no area, that is why I put the name Kashmir in the line of fire. It is fire from all sides. Coming back to the last part, yes, sir, there have been n number of Jawans, JCOs. That was the main theme of my book, to bring their stories out, how they really performed. Rather, how do they motivate you also to remain motivated?
So that's been a wonderful. Tanushi, can you please bring a mic for the audience? And I will now open to the house for 10 minutes. And thereafter, we will have a book release officially. And then we will also, he will be available for book signing.
Namaskar, I'm Nandini Atal. Thank you very much for your very interesting discussion.
Thank you.
Since you were there in Kashmir from the year 1988 and you realize that there is insurgency and there is a problem, so I would like to know your view as to why our great Indian army and our great government of India couldn't stop the exodus. Thank you.
It was a very, as I said in my initial part, it was a very touchy thing. It happened overnight. I will say that at that time, there were different interests involved. We looked at the safety of the people. The choice was with them. When the people were forced to move, there were a large number of people who stayed back. But slowly and slowly, they also, because हमसाया concept आपको मालूम है, the Kashmir में it is a very strong concept, हमसाया. The neighbors are really looking after the other neighbors very much. But however, this also was feeling, taking a step back. Your question, how Indian Army and our government could not keep them back, it's a $1 million question. I may not be able to answer it politically correctly because there were interest from across, from within, and it was a people's choice. They really opted out for that. I think there were chances to get them back, but the proxy war, the way it was happening, I think they chose a better step not to come back at the moment. Let's see, but I will not be able to say exactly whether we failed or whether it happened naturally.
Right.
Sir, for the sudden rise of
Please identify yourself.
For the sudden rise of militancy in 91 onwards, whom do you hold responsible for it? The state government, the central government, the failure of intelligence, or the local police?
Thank you very much, sir. It's a very touchy question. The insurgencies start with a different design. In this, particularly Kashmir, let's talk of Kashmir, it is in the interest of the Pakistan to keep their claim on Kashmir by following this cheapest way of using the Kashmiris for their benefit, radicalizing them to that state that they take part and become militants. Without realizing, the youth of Kashmir, many of them with we interacted, they didn't know why they have joined, firstly. As far as the Kashmir region is concerned, there are issues. There are issues of, the people from across, they are also surviving on that Pakistan. The survival is to keep the pot boiling. So I think more from them rather from internally. Internally, I would say the government has really gone way ahead to control it, to bring it back. my personal view, it is really back into the best shape they were earlier, and it's improving. Things are improving.
Okay, thank you. Anyone? Any more questions? Yeah. Please give a mic here, Tarushi.
Hi, my name is Bhavna. A very simple question. What was your process of writing? Did you take notes all throughout your career thinking that you will write a book in the future? Or did you just sit down one day and decide that I'll write a book and then went about it?
Thank you, ma'am. Firstly, thank you for honoring the occasion. And I must tell you straight from heart, I wanted to write something initially, and I was always interested in comedy. I used to catch scenes on the things happening on the railway station or on somewhere, and always picturize Akshay Kumar in that scene. I started writing from that point of view. Like my buddy, his parents came in Lucknow, and it was a very funny thing happening. So I came back and wrote down about that. My writing started from that, but coming back to Kashmir, you came slightly late to read this topic earlier. It was, an event when I went to deliver a talk where the topic was ordinary people, extraordinary situation, times, and unordinary tales. I was to give a talk on that. Then I realized the army life is throughout, apt to this topic. So that is how I started homing on to characters. I started writing. I wrote about, say, one incident. It did not convey anything. Second, A followed by Y, followed by D, followed by X. So this is how I went about. But then when I started patching it up, it started becoming ABCD. So, and of course, yours truly, Anju also helped me, and Vasu also helped me. And this is how. Of course, it is. I told, I'm from Ganganagar. We used to think in Punjabi, convert it into Hindi, then convert it into English. तब जाके में बात करते थे. But luckily, a lot of effort, I think, has come.
Ma'am, you weren't here that time, we began with this question. So he gave a long, answer about how his publisher also helped him and how the process went on. The most relevant question. Anyway, Mr. Sharma, you wanted to ask something? Yes. Tarushi?
I'm Divya Bhanu Singh. I have a sort of generalist question. How far, in your opinion, should an army, any army, I'm not saying Indian army, whose sole job is external security, how far should it be involved in internal problems? And what steps, in my way of thinking, should be taken to segregate external threats from internal threats so that the army can use its entire resources to doing what it is supposed to do outside?
Very, very important and very important question, sir. And firstly, sir, thank you very much. The moment you entered, you picked up my book and you asked me to sign. I'm very grateful to you. Now, coming back to Indian Army or Indian Armed Forces, the role is absolutely specified. Then we have the CAPFs. Then we have so the situations get created externally or internally. Now the government has got the tools to control it. Like we were discussing, how Rashtriya Rifle came into being, how Assam Rifle came into being. So we were, as a regular infantry, regular army, involved at the initial stages. Then the Rashtriya Rifle came up. We had the CRPF. You must have been hearing there are particular sectors given to CRPF, BSF. So all these are being used. However, sometimes the situation so demands that you have to use the final tool. And I think the system more or less is streamlined. we have our organization in place, and the roles are specified. There are no issues on that.
Any more questions? Yeah, Tabina. Tabina also hails from Kashmir. Tabina, welcome.
I could make out that she was not sitting here and she's asking a question.
Thank you. It was lovely hearing you, but my question is not regarding Kashmir, because I'm a journalist. It's a very journalistic question, and I'm a writer also. So Indian government is thinking of coming up with very strict regulation where it's imposing, it's coming up with rules that if you're ex-military, you're a military, there should be 20 years of cooling off period before you start writing. So, no, they're discussing right now 20 years. So, I mean, there have been discussions about it, and you have written a book, and so many of you have written a book, We really look forward to reading to the anecdotes, the stories from the ground. So, how do you look at it as an author? Thank you.
Thank you. Firstly, this 20 years is hearsay. I don't think it has come in writing. It has been announced officially. I don't think it has been.
Should there be a cooling off period, and for how many years?
Yeah. So since now I'm this side of the fence, we have the people other side of the fence sitting and taking decision on that. But ma'am, you see, there is the major thing involved is the official secret. There are certain things which cannot be put into the open domain. So you are aware how this thing has started. I would like to comment on that, how this episode got sparked. And but I think cooling off period is required, and luckily I was lucky that my book went through the entire procedure which is laid out by the army. It got clearance, and then only. Certain things at the time, author also doesn't realize that what he's talking. Sometimes unintentionally things get written or so. Check that. This is, I think, a good system. And cooling off period is required.
Any more questions? Yeah.
We can have the book release, no? Should we have the book release? May I request book release?
I would now request the Director General of Police, Mr. Rajeev Sharma ji, and Chief of Staff, Mr. Padam ji, to please join us on the stage for release of the book.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all for being with us on a Sunday evening and attending this session. First of all, I'd like to thank our author, Major General Ranjan Mahajan.
Settle down for a minute.
I'd like to thank our author, Major General Ranjan Mahajan, and our moderator, Mr. Jagdeep Singh, for a very riveting discussion, and I'm sure you all enjoyed it. Please give them a big hand. I'd also like to place on record our sincere thanks to the Ashok Club and the royal family of Jaipur for allowing us to use this beautiful hall time and again for conducting these interesting book discussions.
and to you all for always showing up and being a part of these on every Sunday. Before we conclude, I would like to request the Director General of Police, Mr. Rajeev Sharma ji, to kindly felicitate our author with a small token. Thank you, sir, and please join us for a cup of tea before you leave. The author is also available for any book signing.